Part 1. You will hear two students discussing the arrangements for their New Year's celebration. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hi, David. Let's try and get it organized today, all right?
Yeah, sure. It's time we started sorting out the details.
Exactly. What should we start with?
Date.
Okay. When would be the best day for the New Year celebration?
What about the 28th of December?
I think that's a little too late.
Then maybe the 27th?
Perfect. 27th of December.
And what about the venue?
A cafe, maybe? Which cafe did we go to last year?
Let me think. Oh, yes, it was Rose Garden. But I don't think it was a good choice.
Why not?
The place was too crowded, and we'll have about 25 more people this time compared with last year.
You're right.
So how about using the lecture hall on the first floor?
Brilliant idea.
Next, let's think about invitations.
We should invite all teachers and all current students.
How about graduates from last year?
What do you mean?
I know a girl who already finished her studies but still lives nearby. She might want to come to the next month's farewell ceremony.
Okay, I'll confirm that later.
Good.
How about the ticket price? £20? Is that fine?
What? 40?
No, 20.
Right.
The next thing is food and drinks. I think it's better to order from a catering service.
Definitely. Which one do you prefer?
How about Rose Garden?
Okay. We'll need to choose the menu and pay a deposit. How many days in advance? 5?
5 isn't enough. I think at least 10 working days.
Fine.
And what's the deposit?
I'm not sure. Maybe £90?
That sounds too high.
£80.
Yes, that's better.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Now, let's talk about the menu.
Yes. Starter first. What did we have last year?
I remember orange juice and mushroom soup. Do you want to change it?
Yes, I didn't enjoy that soup.
Maybe we can order pumpkin soup instead of mushroom. Is that okay?
Good choice.
And the next one is main course.
What about fish or lamb?
I'd prefer roasted lamb.
Sounds great.
And the third one is vegetables.
How about a mixed salad?
Fine. What vegetables would you like?
Broccoli and tomato?
Yes, and maybe potato and beans?
Sure. I love beans. They're healthy for the heart.
Really?
Yes.
And how about onion?
Fine. And what about cabbage and cucumber?
Yes, that's good. Girls usually like cucumber.
Perfect.
For dessert, how about strawberry cake?
Why not? And maybe ice cream?
I think vanilla pudding is better.
Okay. Vanilla pudding and strawberry cake.
And drinks?
I think almost everyone enjoys tea.
Yes, and Sprite and cola.
Fine.
Do you think we should prepare some souvenirs?
We could take photos, print them, and give them to everyone at the end of the party as a memory.
Excellent idea.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear a student coordinator giving information about the computer center. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 17.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to give you some important information about the computer center and other useful facilities on our campus. I know that many of you couldn't attend yesterday's meeting, so I'll carefully go over all the details again today. Please listen closely, and if you like, take a few notes so you won't forget anything important later. Let me begin with registration. This is the very first step before you can use the computer center. The registration time for this week is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday to Friday. Since today is already Friday, some of you may think you've missed your chance. But don't worry, there's still time. Tomorrow, which is Saturday, the registration office will be open from 9 a.m. until 12 noon, so you can still register before the weekend ends. The registration office is located in room 214, which you will find on the second floor of the main building. When you go there, please remember to bring your student card along with one passport-sized photo. These 2 items are necessary to complete your registration. The good news is that because you are already full-time students here, you do not need to pay any extra fee. Everything is free for you at this stage. Now let's talk about the rules and opening hours of the computer center itself. The center opens daily at 9 o'clock in the morning and stays open until 11 o'clock at night, which is quite convenient for both early risers and late-night users. However, you must remember that certain rules apply inside the center. For example, smoking is not permitted anywhere in the building. Also, please avoid making unnecessary noise because many students come here to study quietly or work on serious projects. If you want to eat or drink, you must use the lounge area. Snacks and drinks are not allowed in the main room with the computers. Bags are another issue. Large bags are not allowed inside the center. Instead, you should use the student lockers provided in the lounge area. These lockers are free to use, but you need to bring your own lock. Please do not keep your belongings in the locker for more than 3 days, as other students may also need to use them. This rule is there to make sure everyone has fair access. As for using the computers, there is a reservation system in place. Computer can be reserved 3 days in advance, which is helpful if you know you have an assignment due or an important project to finish. In addition to the computers, there are photocopiers and printers available for the students, and these are located on the second floor. They do not take coins, so please do not waste time looking for change. Instead, you must pay by using your student card. Also, note that 10 minutes before closing time, the staff will switch off the machines, so try to finish your printing or copying before then.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
Now I'll explain how to find the computer center. When you first enter the campus, the first large building you'll see is the auditorium hall. On your left-hand side, you'll notice a small bookstore. This is a useful place where you can buy textbooks, notebooks, or even CDs for your courses. If you walk a little further east, you'll come across a small gym, which is located opposite the bookstore. This gym is very popular with students who want to exercise in between their classes. On the other side stands the Student Union building. This is the place you should go if you want to join any student societies, clubs, or activities. If you keep walking east, you will see a laboratory building where much of the science research takes place. There is also a parking lot on campus, and it is located near the laboratory, not far from the auditorium hall. The fee for parking is about £5 per hour. I cannot tell you the exact rate, but that is the general price. If you ride a bicycle, there are racks available around the campus, which is a cheaper and more convenient option. Finally, let me point out the exact location of the computer center. It is directly opposite the Student Union. On the left corner of the center, you'll see the library, and on the right side, you'll see the canteen. So it's very easy to find between these two important buildings. That's all the information I wanted to share about the computer center and the nearby facilities. I hope this helps you settle in more quickly. Please make sure to register in time, follow the rules, and take full advantage of the resources we provide. I wish you all the best of luck with your studies here.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear a conversation between students and their tutor about submitting and preparing their research project. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 26.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to give you a chance to ask questions about the guidelines and schedule for completing your final research project. So, what would you like to ask first?
Professor, what about the word length?
Well, generally the word count for the master's project is set between 19 to 21,000.
Oh, does that include the bibliography?
Yes, of course.
And what about the table of contents?
No, the word count does not include the acknowledgments or table of contents.
What exactly are acknowledgments?
It's a short note of thanks that you write at the beginning of the project to those who supported you.
And how long can it be?
Not more than 120 words.
All right.
Professor, when is the submission date?
The deadline is on the 28th of August.
Is it a strict submission date? I mean, if I failed to hand in my work before 28th August, then...
Liam, I'm afraid you must hand it in on time unless you face some unexpected emergency, okay?
Okay, I understood.
How do we submit our work?
You may give it directly to your supervisor during a meeting or send it via email to the faculty office.
Fine. And how many supervision sessions do we have in a week?
Normally, there are 2 sessions weekly.
And how long does each one last? 2 hours?
No, just 1 hour in the afternoons.
Professor, when will I know who my supervisor is?
You can check the allocation list.
Online?
Yes, or you could go to the faculty office to confirm.
Both on weekends?
No, one is from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday. The other is from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Thursday.
How about the formatting requirements?
You can check the formatting rules online, but one of the most important things is to have proper printing.
Printing?
Yes, we usually keep a hard copy of all projects, so you must print your work with a laser printer.
Fine.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Now let's talk about the project timetable.
All right.
In the second week of May, you should begin preparing. The first step is to decide on a topic.
Can we select the topic ourselves?
Of course, your supervisor will give you advice and you can narrow down the subject on your own.
Great.
And then you should work on your basic sources.
Right.
You can ask your supervisor for a reading list and then borrow books from the library.
And the next stage is to make a draft outline?
Exactly. You must prepare a draft and then discuss it with your supervisor during a session.
If the draft is fine, what comes next?
You will move on to conducting research and collecting data for your study.
Okay. Can we select the research methods ourselves?
It's better to follow your supervisor's suggestions.
Okay.
Once you have enough data, you'll begin writing the project.
How many main sections should a project contain?
Usually, it must include an introduction, the main discussion, and a conclusion.
And then, can we submit the project?
Not yet. You should proofread everything carefully before handing it in.
Okay.
Any more questions?
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecturer describing Australia's geography, culture, and lifestyle. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Australia is both the world's smallest continent and its largest. It is also among the oldest land masses and the flattest of all continents. After Antarctica, it ranks as the second driest. Much of the country consists of semi-arid or desert landscapes. Roughly 40% of the land lies north of the Tropic of Capricorn. The Indian Ocean borders it on the west, while on the east are the Coral Sea and Tasman Sea, which form part of the South Pacific Ocean. Australia is unique as the only nation to occupy an entire continent. In terms of size, it is about 25 times larger than Britain and nearly twice the combined land area of Pakistan and India. 3 main structural regions define its geography. The first is the Great Western Plateau, which covers most of Western Australia, large parts of the Northern Territory and South Australia, as well as a portion of Western Queensland. Its average height is around 300 meters. To the east lies the Central Eastern Lowlands, stretching from the Gulf of Carpentaria in the north down to eastern South Australia and the western Victorian coast. The lowlands average about 150 meters in elevation, dropping to around 12 meters below sea level at Lake Eyre in South Australia. The third feature is the Eastern Highlands, better known as the Great Dividing Range, which extends along the eastern coastline from northern Queensland all the way to southern Tasmania, at times reaching the shoreline itself, but usually sitting more than 400 kilometers inland. Their average height is under 910 meters, although peaks in the southeastern corner, known as the Australian Alps, rise beyond 1,800 meters. Almost one-third of the continent lies north of the Tropic of Capricorn, with the remainder located in the temperate zone. Low rainfall and cloudless skies characterize much of the climate. Summer runs from December through February, autumn from March to May, winter from June to August, and spring from September to November. For most regions, January is typically the hottest summer month. The national flag of Australia is the only flag that represents an entire continent. It features the Union Jack in one corner to mark its historic ties to Britain. A large star with 6 points represents the 6 states, along with another star for the territories, while smaller stars form the Southern Cross, a striking constellation of the Southern Hemisphere's night sky. Australia has no traditional or official national dress. However, green and gold have long been used by Australian Olympic teams and other sporting groups throughout the 20th century. These colors were formally recognized as national in 1984. The country's official language is English, though this is by convention rather than law. Australian English includes unique slang and idioms, but is not significantly different from other varieties apart from accent. Spelling generally follows British norms. Australia is highly urbanized, with about 70% of its people living in the 10 largest cities, while only 15% reside in rural areas. Standards of living are among the highest in the world. It is also a multicultural nation, with roughly a quarter of the population born overseas. The first European settlement, established by the British in 1788, was on the site of modern-day Sydney. Various settlement schemes over the following 150 years increased the population to around 7.4 million by the end of the Second World War. Since then, more than 5 million migrants have arrived, more than doubling the post-war population. Today, most Australians are employed in wage or salary-based work, typically putting in 35 to 40 hours each week. Employees are entitled to about 4 weeks of paid annual leave, sick leave, long service leave, and approximately 10 paid public holidays per year. Retirement usually occurs between the ages of 60 and 65. On average, Australian women live to about 79 years of age, while men reach around 73. People tend to marry in their late 20s, and families usually have 2 or 3 children. Although many aspects of Australian art stem from European traditions, neighboring Asian cultures have also strongly influenced its history and development. At the same time, uniquely Australian trends continue to emerge, surprising visitors with their originality and vitality. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the arts faced difficulties familiar to many nations, rising costs and shrinking government budgets. Yet growing public enthusiasm helped sustain creative work during these challenging times. The Australian government introduced tax incentives to encourage more private support for the arts. For example, individuals can claim deductions when donating property to public museums, libraries, or galleries. The Australia Council, a government-funded agency, allocates over $50 million annually to artistic initiatives, with state governments providing additional funding. Within the Council, specialized boards focus on different art forms, while the Central Council supports research, education, and multicultural programmers.
That is the end of Part 4.